And the enemy, they think, because you kept silent for a long time, you think you're living in fear. You know what I mean? They feeding on you like they're in a feeding frenzy, like freaking shark, you know? And even shark, even shark is a coward, you know? I just call a killer whale. I call a killer whale to a bunch of shark. They're gonna scatter over the ocean. True story, guys. Look it up. Killer shark is the shark worst enemy. They will kill a shark to eat only its liver. Did you know that? Yeah. So even a shark is coward. You know what I'm saying? And anyhow, because you kept silence, you kept and you wanna kind of move away from this and stuff. They keep the more you're silent, the more they do more. You know, because they think you're afraid. They put you in a fear state, and to get you to kind of just stop fighting, accept the way it is, and killing you silently. You know what I mean? Without you putting up a fight. You know. And yeah, I am not gonna. You know what? I have not. I stopped for 5 years. Then I realized the attacks would not stop. I realized this is gonna be for a long time. So I'm just gonna continue talking now. You know, I'm not gonna stop. I am not gonna stop. I'm not doing anything wrong. I feel not guilty. I do not feel guilty. I've done nothing wrong. I'm gonna continue talking about it. I'm continue to talk to anybody who will lend me an ear. You know? You understand? And you guys should do the same. You should not be timid. You should not, disarm yourself. Your voice is your armor. Your voice is your weapon. Use it. Do not let people to intimidate you because they want you to stay silent. They want you to be obedient little puppet. God never sent weak children to earth. You know? He sent the best. In the end times, he sent the caviar of heaven. That's what he sent. And when you know your true divinity or power, you would not allow people to intimidate you and take your power away and disarm you by lies. Okay? The lies are getting, I'm tired of the lies. They always lying about you somehow, and these people are like eating this garbage up. They think they're really fighting a great cause. When they fight us, they think they're fighting a great cause. Why are you not fighting me when I'm awake walking around that building? Why are you doing it when I'm sleeping? Why you do things? Because they told me the Mason owned the building. Now they're not hiding it anymore. They're just telling me. They're telling me who owns what. Okay? Now they're bluntly spilling the beans. They're not really keeping it a secret anymore. There's nothing to wonder about. Nothing to trying to uncover. They're just telling you. They're in your face gutsy. They're in your face gutsy telling you, yeah, this is what we're doing to you. And I remember when they killed my mother. I'll tell you something about this, how these people have no heart. Okay? When they killed my mother, and I was crying because I was grieving. It's a normal thing, It's normal to cry when you lose somebody you love. Yeah? But they do not work from the heart chakra. These people don't know how to love. They laugh at people misfortune. They laugh at people suffering. You understand? That's not normal. That's not normal to you. That's not normal to me. I could never laugh at somebody who lost somebody. Who's grieving, Yet they laughed at me. That's what they did. True story, guys. And what I'm telling you, guys, I swear to you guys, that's exactly what they did when I was grieving, crying over my mother, the loss of my mother. You know? You understand? And because that's what happened. That's normal thing when you love somebody. They wouldn't know what love is even if it bit them in the ass. Excuse my French, guys. They don't know it. They never experienced love. So how would they know? How would you know something you have never experienced? Right? Thank God perfected me. My maker perfected me the way he given me so much. The ability to love, to have all these emotions, and the ability to be human, normal human, yeah. So that's what I'm telling you. It's just 100%, guys. So when you're suffering and you cry about your suffering, they laugh, they enjoy it. And they enjoy it when people are complaining. You think when people in the news, they're saying they're going to food banks and working 9 to 5 or working 24 hours. Do you think they don't enjoy that? No, they do. True. They do every bit. They eat in this, suffering up. They enjoy it. They enjoy it when you work 24/7 and they keep raising your taxes. You keep cutting resources. They keep doing stuff to you. And they enjoy every bit. They enjoy every ounce of it. The more you struggle, the more you suffer, the more happier they are. Yeah. So when you understand that, you understand how the system is broken. The system is broken. The system is whacked. It's literally messed up in the head. And yeah, well, on all days when you have eggs, I have fish. I give you fish, you give me eggs. Remember when you have vegetables and I have grain. I give you grain and you give me, vegetables. Remember all days? Remember those days when we all coming together in harmony, working together. You have, we when it was normal to feed the hungry, when it was normal to close the poor and the homeless. Remember that? Remember those days? Yeah, we forgot how to be humans because they got you all programmed to hate one another. When all humanity created from one man, all humanity created from one man. You don't remember that? Just remember that. We're all equal. But they made you think you're better because you're white or you're whatever, German, Nazi, whatever. They made you believe. They made you believe you're. They made you believe that. Thanks. They made you believe you're better because of your skin color. They made you believe. Oh, okay. Okay. Hate, racism, and all of that is taught. It's taught. Even here, they did this study where, let me see if I can find it for you. But anyhow, they did this study where they're asking children, what doll is more beautiful, the white one or the black one? And you know what children pick? They pick the black one. They pick the white one because they said they've been taught at home. Oh yeah, when you see on TV all the time, black people in handcuffs, black people committing crimes. When, in a matter of fact, the United States are the majority of people they're more white than blacks, right? But anyhow, who's always behind bars? Yeah, So the system is like that. It's set up to serve these people, to it's set up to serve these people to in a false beliefs. Anyhow, to get back to that story, they're asking kids, and but before that adolescent, when you a child is still growing and flourishing, and kids in a playground playing with each other, but then when you put them in a school environments, and then they begin to teach you about this division, they begin to teach you about black, white, green, yellow, all these colors. You know, God created the rainbow. He meant it's an intentional act of creation when God created the rainbow as from black you can get all these colors, right? But blacks never put themselves as better than anybody else, right? And also where I watched this like last week. I watched this when this lady was asking somebody to buy her a bottle of water. And one of them was dressed really nice. She was carrying a fur jacket and stuff. People are not buying her a bottle of water. So when you dress that way, obviously you're not really hard on your luck for you to beg for people to buy you money, to buy water. Then the other one, she was dressed casually and she was asking people to buy her a bottle of water. She says, buy me just a bottle of water. I'm thirsty. I just don't have any money. I don't want any money. Don't give me money in my hands. Just buy me a bottle of water, right? And guess what? None of these white people bought her a water, you know? And when she approached black people, a guy sitting on a bench, he says, he opened his wallet, was going to give her money to go and buy water. That's a black person. You understand? And that's a story of my life, guys. That's a story of my life. So hate it is taught. And what's wrong with you? You believe in their lies. You believe everything they taught you. I've gone to their schools and universities, and I came out the same person. Nothing about me changed. You understand? Nothing about me changed. I feel like when I went to university, I lost brain cells. I feel like part of my brain died. You know? What a waste of money and time that was. I would never encourage people to go to university anymore, you know, because, when I went to university and I was speaking against the governments and stuff about how the government is doing this and that, then I became a target individual, you know? Yeah. Sadly, but true. What happened to me is a direct result of going to university. And it's a direct attack by universities because I spoke against, the education system. I spoke about the governments. I talk about a lot of stuff because universities, they encourage you. In a university, they encourage you to speak freely about, cause and, about things that means really, they teach you about writing. You have to take a stand. You have to present the pro and cons, and you have to take a stand. You have to choose why. Why am I with this side, But when I spoke about things, that means, and I defended it, they put me in a list. And guess what? That's what they do. Some of these professors actually in university working for the enemy. And I'm not going to mention the universities anymore because I'm not afraid of them. But hey, I think I talked enough about the universities, how corrupt they are. Anyhow, that what happened to me. Everything happened to me was direct attack by some of the faculty members. Yeah. True story, guys. If I honestly, if somebody would tell me this story 13 years ago before I became a target individual, I would tell that person, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Universities are great. What are you talking about? Universities are like they walk on water. They separate. There's like Moses when he divided this. Parted the sea. That's university. I used to think highly of them. I don't anymore. I only think the lowest spectrum, the bottom feeder of the bottom of bottoms, people who go to university to be taught something. It's not really, you don't really need to learn about BS. I could have taught you, I could have given you an education lesson for free, without having to do that. Okay? So, but if you like BS, go to university. I discourage people going to university. They they told me, okay, I was applying to do my master in Stanford, and they're like, I thought about it, and my brother goes to me, oh, where are you actually gonna get 100,000 over 800,000 a year to go to Stanford, a year? He told me, he says, even I could not go to Stanford because I don't have the money, Anyhow, they encouraged me to go to Stanford. They were going to pay for it. And I just thought to myself, at what cost? Why would you pay for my education in such expensive school? Because they're grooming you. You know what I mean? They want you to come in on board and to fight their battles and to be the puppet. Because if you accept something from them, they're going to say, then they'll demand something from you in return. Hey, there's no free money, guys. They're just not going to give you free money to go to very elite school. And not expect anything in return. That why? I'm smart enough. I thought about it and I just said, no, I am not going to go to university. Back to university for that BS. At that time, I'm like, maybe my head was not screwed up straight. I thought about it and I contemplated and I just said to myself, no, I'm not going to no BS school, And yeah, all this suffering. I lost my mother, lost my father, lost my aunt, all the suffering I have gone through. And you think I'm going to accept money from these people? No. Anybody with the rightful mind, they would know accepting money, it will be the biggest mistake of your life. The biggest mistake of your life. I'm telling you, guys, it doesn't matter how much money they, throw at you. It's all dirty money anyway. It comes from suffering, siphoning of resources globally, stealing from countries, oppressing countries, waging wars and, creating unnecessary tension, That money is dirty money. It's linked to suffering, Yeah. I don't want that dirty money. I don't want, I don't want anything from them. To be quite honest, I want nothing to do with them. And that's my problem. And well, that's not my problem, I say. It's a problem for them because they never met somebody like me. They never met somebody like me who reject them. You understand? Yeah? I have nothing, right? But I have God. That's enough. I don't need to own anything and not to have everything. Back in the day, I was living this lie. I'm living this big lie. Buying going to work wearing Versace or Gucci and all these brands, jackets and, suits, buying all these expensive clothes, buying expensive things, eating in very expensive restaurants. I was living all of that, Yeah. So I was part of the collective. I'm part of this lie. I was living this lie, Even then, people used to look at me like with looks like I'm very undeserving to have what I have. Getting out of my car, people give me dirty looks. How could you afford that kind of, one time I was at the coffee shop I left my car running. I went to Starbucks. I could grab a coffee. I was wearing a suit and going to work and whatnot. And then I left my car running. I just bought the car. It was brand new. And then what happened was I stood behind this lady in the coffee shop in a line in a Starbucks, and she looks at me and looks up and down. And lady, I'm in a suit, but you could tell the looks speak volumes. You don't have to say anything. The looks was everything, guys. And I said to her, "Oh, it's a very nice car," you know. And she goes, "Yeah, it's a very nice car. I was just wondering, what do you do for a living?" And I said to her, "Oh, I'm not a drug dealer or anything like that. I'm an auditor, and at the time I was doing audit." And she goes to me, "Yeah, I wondered. I thought maybe you're a drug dealer." Literally, guys, honestly, what I'm telling you, exactly what happened. She thought I was a drug dealer because I was driving a nice car, dressed the way I am. Even though, when you've done well in life, then the people are still not accepting you because they're programmed to believe in hierarchy. They believe in like a black person could never get ahead, and there's a glass ceiling. Nobody's supposed to surpass this glass ceiling. Nobody's supposed to, go above this, you understand? So what I'm trying to tell you, it sounds like a broken record. I'm telling you every story I've told you now, everything I told you now, based on a truth. I have not, added or changed any part of the story. I've told you everything I need, what I've told you based on fact. These things happen to me. So when the enemy enjoys suffering of others, they will put you through the ringer. They put you through this revolving doors of suffering, continuous suffering. You understand? And you're not supposed to say anything about it. You're supposed to stay silent because we're not human. We're not supposed to feel anything. We're supposed to just absorb this pain they're dishing out at us. We're supposed to just eat these horrific things that happen to us in our life, and without any emotion. We're not supposed to feel anything. We're not show any sort of human traits. You understand? This is what they expected us to be. No. I'm just gonna continue, guys, talking to you guys. I'm gonna still continue to tell my story, guys. I'm gonna continue to speak my truth, whether they like it or not. I'm gonna continue to speak in my truth, guys. Everything that happened to me, it was direct attack, assault by these people. They're paying people, wasting government money to attack us, to manipulate us, to humiliate us, and to do these evil deeds to us, do all these wicked things to us, Yeah. There's consequences, guys, You're batting for them, but hey, you're gonna find out when judgment comes. When judgment comes, you're gonna find out too late to turn back time. Too late to undo what you've done. The damage you have done is already done. It's gonna stay because the 144,000. If you're not, you know what? I used to have remorse, a lot of remorse, for people, but for the enemy, I don't. I honestly don't cry. Cry me a river, Don't sit there and telling me like, "Oh, I made a mistake," or, I wish I could have done this better, forgive me. No, I am not gonna forgive you, because when you laughing at me from when you killed my mother and you laughed about it, that moment woke up something in me. I just start not to care for you anymore. I do not care for you I do not even cry about it. You'll be judged. They think that God created this planet, created the universe, and created everything to go on chaos forever. God, okay, God doesn't like people who destroy his creation. You understand? Doesn't like that. God doesn't. Who likes creating something and someone else to destroy it? Tell me one person who like creating something and somebody else to destroy it. No, you can't find. You can't find anybody who will love that. Even a sandcastle. If you built a sandcastle on a beach, it's made from sand. It's gonna decay because when the water, this the rise of the water, or the height, hit, comes to the shore, whatnot, and they're gonna get destroyed. But if you see a kid who built a sandcastle and you go and stomp on that sandcastle, wouldn't that kid will be hurt? Wouldn't be upset? Wouldn't be throwing really a hissy fit? Wouldn't that child will just lose his, on you, right? Even a sandcastle, which mean nothing, is gonna basically break down. Nobody like to destroy something that somebody else have created. That's a story about God. God doesn't like people to destroy something that he created. You understand? Or attempt to destroy. You're right? Even mentioned in Holy Quran what God says, do not destroy the earth after we perfected it. God, when he speaks, this is meaning glorifying God. Glorifying God. When God is speaking of when you glorify himself, he says we. It's in general, Do not destroy the earth after we have perfected it. Yeah. Who's destroying the earth? It's not me. Don't look at me, guys. I did not destroy the earth, I did not dump chemicals and oils in the ocean. I did not put chemicals in the water. I did not spray the sky. I did not destroy, give people and, create diseases in the laboratories and infect people with stuff they don't need because they want you to go to the hospital. They want to keep the system they have built going, The system is also oppressive similar to the governments, When you understand that, you understand what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is the hierarchy of how things operate in Earth, how things run, okay? Yeah, when you understand that, then you'll understand how the enemy operates, okay? Anyhow, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyhow, I think I've said enough for the day, but I hope this, what I'm saying or have said, woken you up. Wake up, people, wake up.